Right, welcome back, everyone, and a very good afternoon to you all. We're here with the second game, and it is between Peterhouse and St. George's College. My name is Tariro Chawafambira, and I'm joined in commentary by Ruvimbo Koreka. In terms of local school derbies, Ruvimbo, it doesn't get better than this one.
Oh, yes, it definitely doesn't, whether it's a rugby or even if it is a cricket like we have it right now. But I think as it currently stands, Peterhouse are the ones with a little bit more pressure than St. George's. St. George's haven't really been as effective post that Dion Myers, final, that he played, which was quite phenomenal to say the least. And Peterhouse were just so dominant last year. They picked up both trophies. That is the St. George's T20 smashing cricket, as well as the St. John's College Rams T20 cricket. So I think they will have quite a lot to try and work out here and make do with. But in any case, it is a Peterhouse who will be batting first. And it looks like we do have Daniel Govan, as well as Nicholas Anderson, who will be opening the batting for Peterhouse. Whilst on the other end, it looks like we might be having Singh, who will be doing the bowling. But we will be confirming that as we continue to fly along. Tadiwa Mandimutsira, who was the captain for rugby, also finds himself in this side. But two players who you will need to really watch out for here, Sean Bennett as well as Campbell McMillan. I mean, these are fantastic batters, and I'm sure you will most likely see Campbell McMillan coming in the number 3 position to really shore things up for that batting lineup. So it'll be Nicholas Anderson, who'll be first up to face Mohammed Afroz. First delivery of the afternoon session from St. George's. Well, that one didn't bounce up, so that surprises Nicholas Anderson first up. And I think we did mention it before here at TC that it will be important for us to really understand how this pitch is going to be working. And as the day progresses, with the sun having baked on it, particularly from round about 10 o'clock in the morning up until now, you will expect the pitch to be a bit harder and maybe the ball not to bounce as much.
Straight up into the air, charging immediately. Can the fielder get under it? No, he can't, and they come back for the second. Overthrows are on here, but the fielder who was backing up, the one backing up, did a good job to back up the backer up of that ball. As you were saying, remember, the sun has been beating on this pitch, and it should become easier to bat on. And the umpire is signaling there a no ball, so it will be a free hit, a chance for him to free his arms, but it should get easier to bat on. Peterhouse should be looking at 150 as a par score here, but even more would be good for them because the pitch is playing much better. Over the extra cover, does it have enough to go all the way? It does have enough, so the free hit coming out well for Peterhouse. They race to 6 off the first couple of deliveries in this game. Good start from Peterhouse.
Oh yes, good start for Nicholas Anderson as well, who obviously want to make a statement here and impose himself on St. George's. St. George's will obviously have a lot to do. Now, Simbarashe Mudimu is one that we must also continuously look to. He played a magnificent middle order innings last year, and he did really well to help Peterhouse over the line. Oh, that's a better delivery. It goes up, but will it be taken? He's not comfortable under the ball. Never looked like he had the technique of being able to take the ball over the shoulder into his hands. And so that's another 2 runs for Nicholas Anderson. And they're up and running here, TC, or one would feel that they might just be in for a good score.
They are indeed, and I think the instructions given to Nicholas Anderson are very clear. Go for it. Much better shot this time. Much more conventional cricket shot. That's straight out of the books. Orthodox as you like. Rocks back onto his back foot and pierces that through the extra cover region for 4.
Oh, yes, what a wonderful cut shot. And seldom do you have fielders within the circle able to stop that. It will be coming to you like a tracer bullet, and that takes Anderson to 12. And so it just goes to show that Peterhouse here mean business. A little bit of swing there, and that one is just edged through. Goes down to the fine leg region. And they are able to pick up another 2 runs. So a fantastic start for Peterhouse in the first over. I think Mohammad Afros is kind of wondering, what kind of delivery do I give them? Because they seem to be sending absolutely everything around the park and doesn't do any good for your figures.
This time it's a swing and a miss. They seem convinced that there was something on it, some bat on that one, but no bat involved, so that'll be a dot ball. But yeah, the bowler must be wondering, what does he need to do? 15 off the first over. 15 off the first over, and Peterhouse with a strong start.
Yes, a fantastic start. There is going to be change again of ends, and just to try and see how things will go from there. Simbarashe Mdimu now will face the change-up. And I think this is fantastic to see when you've got a good left-hand, right-hand combination. It does mess up with the lines. And so St. George's really will have to get their bowling really on the money, because Nicholas Anderson is looking to paste everyone all across the park. And just a quick update from other fields. Just to let you know, Hellenic came out with a very handsome win, 100+ runs. They delivered the first 50 of the tournament. Ronak Patel. That one is a full toss, driven through the covers and straight for 4. So Simbarashe Mdimu joining the party here and getting into the boundary hitting spree.
Yeah, off the mark in the very best of fashions. A cover drive for a left-hander. It's poetry in motion. It is absolutely pleasing to the eye, and he put that away in fine style.
Well, you generally don't start an over with the full toss. I mean, you would expect it to be maybe just off a length, or maybe a half volley would be a better option. That one's got lots of bounce, but Mdimu rides the bounce and he cuts it through the point region for another 4. Peterhouse really on a roll.
You thought the first shot was good, while the second one was even better. Class, just backward of point, but he rode that one, like you said, straight out of the middle of the bat. That is one for the cameras for sure.
How long have these boys been practicing? It seems like they've been practicing longer than St. George's. And right now, St. George's really still trying to find what do they do, what can they do better. Maybe at this particular point, if the ball is coming onto the bat really well, maybe you might want to try a knuckle ball. You might want to try and change up something. I know the ball is still hard. Maybe roll your fingers over the seam. Just try and slow it down a little bit for the batsman to find it a little bit harder to get it away. And Takudzwa this time round, down leg side. But luckily the wicket keeper got his hand to it. So it shouldn't be too many more runs outside of the one conceded. So it is a wide and that extra run. And if you're looking at it or you're just tuning in, you're wondering, 25 without loss after 1.2 overs. Do these boys have an appointment that we don't know of?
I think they've got a 4:30 appointment. Remember, they want to get this done and dusted. Rather, they want to get a very good score on the board for their bowlers to back up a very good start. And Corey Anderson is not stopping. Nicholas Anderson, probably wouldn't mind the name Corey, the New Zealander. Nicholas Anderson is not stopping for anything. He's been given a clear instruction. Go for it, set the pace. And Simbarashe Mudimu was on the other end watching. They get 2 from that one, but it is a fantastic opening partnership, this one.
Oh, yes, it's also always good to see who's coming into the ground or coming into the school in order to see what is happening. And we do have a Peterhouse old boy. He's a former Kings player. That one is pulled. And fine leg. Not too fine at that point, and that one goes for a boundary. So as we were saying, we do have a Peterhouse old boy who's come to watch, and he's playing for the Chevrons. That is Ryan Burrell, the left-hander, the all-rounder, is around just close to the Cabs tent, and he's going to be watching over the youngsters, and maybe, who knows, he might have been coaching them.
Yeah, nice to see some international cricketers here. Ryan Burr will be watching the Peterhouse boys with keen interest, and he'll be loving this, absolutely loving the way they're putting away the bowlers, short, wide, and just helped along its way to the fine leg boundary. St. George's are struggling here. They're not bowling the right length. They've been rattled, no doubt, by Nicholas Anderson and Simbarashe Mudimu. What do they need to do to just to stop the flow of runs here, Ruvimbo?
Well, look, try something different. It looks like the ball is coming onto the bat very nicely. I did say that since the sun has been baking on the pitch, you won't be seeing too much movement off the surface. So if it comes, it's just coming like an arrow. And that means you can get the inside the line of the delivery, or you can deal with it as easily as possible. And that's what's happening with Peterhouse right now. There's no swing. And for Nicholas Anderson, he will keep on tonking them like he has done for another boundary. So not getting it right at the present moment. Slow the pace down. Try to force the batsman to put in some effort, and that will be the best way to go. And so 2 overs done. And it is a 39 without loss for Peterhouse. They could be set for a 180-plus total here.
They could indeed. It's going to be about changing things up. I think they need to slow down the ball, take pace off the ball, because it's coming onto the bat very, very nicely. And Nicholas, along with Simbarashe Mudimu, have not been tested. Nicholas had a shakier start, I must say, but Simbarashe Mudimu's very first ball that he faced was a full toss that he dispatched through the covers for 4, and then he played a magnificent shot off the back foot to move to 8. But as we say that, there's a change of bowling immediately. It looks like they have taken pace off the ball. So can this be the breakthrough? Can this lead to the breakthrough that St. George's desperately need? Because these 2 are absolutely moving. The previous over was 4-4 wide, 2-4-4-4.
Well, it looks like it's Achieve now who's coming in, and it looks like it's a spin option. They are now trying to take pace off the ball, but he will also have to watch out. Is he going to dart it in like many off spinners are doing? Because it looks like he is an off spinner. It doesn't look like he's a leg spinner. Lovely delivery first up, and forces Mudimu to go onto the back foot and play it back to Achieve. And this time round, just clipped off his legs for an easy 2 here for Simbarashe Mudimu, which takes him into double figures.
Simbarashe Mudimu looks like a really, really good player. He's good technically. He's got a wide range of shots. He plays on both sides of the ground. I really like the looking of this young man.
Oh, yes, he's definitely looking good. And there we go. Once again, just clipping it off his legs right now. And that's what I was talking about, that as Achieve is coming into the attack, is he just darting it at the legs or darting it at the stumps, or is he also looking to give it some flight? Now, sometimes you may go for some tap when you actually give it a little bit of flight, but sometimes you then put it above the eye line, and you will then find yourself, maybe just bamboozling the batsman. But right now, they are currently going at a current run rate of 16.8, a projected score of 336. I don't think it is going to become that bad. Otherwise, that would be a world record score. But I don't think it's going to become that bad. I'm sure St. George's are going to rein it in particular, in the middle overs.
Achieve Choto guilty of bowling the wrong line yet again. That's wide. They're going to run 2. So that'll be 3 in total. But again, struggling with that line and length just to see it's the left-right hand combination. It's always hard to bowl to, and it's a good idea to have a left-hander and a right-hander opening the batting or at the crease at any given time in an innings.
Well, the question sometimes may actually be, do you have left-handers within your setup that can actually open the batting? And that one was wide. Quite lucky for him that Nicholas Anderson was not in a mood of disdain. He could have dispatched that one for another boundary. That one is more towards the stump. So good use of the crease there. We saw Chief Choto going a little bit wider in the second delivery. And hopefully he can continue to do that to just keep the batsman guessing. That one goes straight through. And so that is over up. 3 overs done and dusted, and Peterhouse are 45 without loss. I mean, they are cruising at this moment. Just look at that batting lineup. Campbell McMillan, Sean Bennett, Daniil Coven. Wow. So many good batsmen to come.
Yep, they bat deep. It's almost one of those things. They get a wicket here. They see McMillan walking onto the crease. They'll be like, oh dear, why did we get the wicket? Kind of lineups. They do bat deep. They are good batsmen. But St. George's shouldn't give up here. You've got to keep being positive because cricket, you take your opportunity. You bowl a good ball at Campbell. You bowl a bad ball. You can be dismissed. They just got to be positive. Spin from both ends now. Munyaradzi. M is into the attack. Mudimu facing. Is there an edge? Yes, there is. Simbarashe Mudimu walks. Credit must be given to him. Walking before the umpire sticks him. It was a great piece of wicket keeping. It was there for the taking. Short, wide, went back and across, tried to hit the ball, got the top edge, and the keeper grabbed it. Commentators curse maybe. I did say wickets. You just got to be positive. Simbarashe Mudimu. And Ryan Bill is walking right in front of us here in the announcers' commentators' box. But lovely to see him. And out walks Campbell McMillan.
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't be too pleased as a left-handed batsman with that. And he's gotten out to some deliveries like that. Look at the replay there. Wide, short, good for the hit. But unfortunately, they're just clipping it. Maybe just wanting to put too much power into the shot and ended up losing shape and lost that one. So Campbell McMillan strides to the crease. A lot has been said about this young man. Last year, he also played a pretty significant role within Peterhouse, winning those 2 trophies that we would say on schoolboy level. And he will want to play another significant role in defending the title this year. But do know that there are a number of other teams that will want to say something different from that. And so for Munyaradzi, that is the first wicket for St. George's, and surely should add a bit more pressure on Peterhouse and try and bring that run rate down, because that will be essential at this point.
Oh, well, he gets a freebie first up, first ball, and he dispatches that to the boundary with ease. That's not how you want to bowl your first ball at the new batsman, isn't it?
Well, it looks like he was still stuck in the left-handed batsman line because that was going way down leg side, and he was smashed. So actually, it looks like it's Sean Bennett who has come out, had mistaken him for Campbell McMillan. Oh, goodness me. Sean Bennett is going to be dispatching those all day long. That's another 4. Still stuck in the wrong line, wrong length, and you are going to be dealt with. So if he intends to correct this one, I would advise him to maybe try, come back over the wicket, and maybe he can sort out his line, because that was short, and it just sat up for him, and it was just dispatched straight into the square leg area. This time round, a little bit wider outside of the off stump. And Sean Bennett couldn't quite send that one into the stands. And so he's already quickly to 9 off 3 balls. You cannot afford to do that. And with 54 runs on the board, Peterhouse will be feeling really good right now about how they've been able to use the power play.
They will be feeling really good, and I think if they'll be eyeing a really, really big total to try and put as much pressure on St. George's when they come out to bat, trying to just ride that bounce and play it as late as he could to try and beat fine leg their third man. But they'll be wanting to score well as close as that 180, 190 mark, remember, to try and give their bowlers something to defend.
Oh, yes, and it will also be in the back of their minds the fact that Hellenic were able to dispatch 191 against Prince Edward, and they would be feeling the same against St. George's, who haven't been strong over the years and will be hoping to turn around things, especially on home turf. So Peterhouse will also be looking for that maybe 170 plus, 190 plus score, and with a deep batting lineup like the one that they have, they are surely on board to make it happen. Chief Choto now comes back. Oh, that one coming in like a Yorker there, and a wrong shot was being played. Wasn't with the straight bat. And this time round, drives it through the covers. That should be making its way all the way to the boundary. And it is a 4 for Sean Bennett, who now enters into double figures and sends Peterhouse to 58. And this is only in just the 5th over.
It has to be said, Rimbo, this is poor bowling. They've been a bit erratic and they've bowled, they haven't bowled consistently in good areas. Peterhouse have capitalized, leaving that one a wide ball. So they really need to just relax, regroup. They've made the bowling change. It hasn't really worked. The scoreboard is still going at above 10. So they really need to come up with ways of slowing it down. Didn't work. It's just about bowling it in the right areas of the pitch and try and stop them from scoring so freely.
Oh, yes, don't pitch it short, don't pitch it wide. And that one is a little bit wide off stump and guided rather into the third man region. And misfield allows them to come back for 2. And so I think Peterhouse should be considering that this is maybe the easiest start that they've ever had in their lives in a T20 match. That one driven down the ground for another single. So what I'm enjoying about this so far is the ability to rotate strike. And whilst we may not be hitting the boundary, we are getting the 1s and the 2s. And look, already within the over, they've already got 8 runs with just 1 boundary. So that goes to show that there's a lot of thought being put into this innings. Oh, that one has been hit. It goes high, but it doesn't reach the man who's coming round from the long on position and trying to get all the way around there. There's a huge gap, so I believe he was looking for that, was Nicholas Anderson. He's now got 30 of 17 deliveries.
That's in the block hole, but it's dug out quite nicely. Down to long on for just a single. I think Nicholas Anderson's duty was made clear by his captain and coaches. Try and hit the leather off the ball. He's done that. He's moved to 30 or 17. But, you know, he's been given that green card to go and express himself, and he's doing that. Hasn't always looked pretty doing it, but it's been effective.
Oh, yes, and I mean, just as we're looking at that scoreboard, Munyaradzi Maunze, the only one with the wicket there, but the 2 opening bowlers went for some very strong tap. And Maunze is going to be coming back into the attack, and he will need to get his lines right as well if he intends not to go for more runs. Well, of course, making sure that his mark is quite significant and that he doesn't lose his bowling mark. I would, of course, love to see Maunze maybe make a bit more use of his height. Try to bring it from above the eye line of the batsman there. And Anderson was looking to just flay that one through the covers, but well stopped. Oh, that one just goes under him. So I would love to see Maunze there, just not necessarily breaking his final stride to the crease. I think if you do observe here, it seems like he's just going a little bit too low, and that's just allowing Nicholas Anderson to get right under that one and send it over the boundary. There was a man there, but he didn't stand a chance. And that one has gone all the way for 6.
Much better looking shot there from Nicholas Anderson. It was short, dragged down again by the bowler. Munyaradzi dragging it short, and Nicholas Anderson with square leg back, he had the will and confidence to take it on. And overcompensating outside off stump, wide given. So it's not happening at the moment for the home side. Peterhouse are really bossing it, 71 off 5.3. And there he goes again, Nicholas Anderson. Same result. It's out the park. That's an even bigger 6. Remember, they've got to do something to stem the flow of runs. Nicholas Anderson moves on now to 33. The partnership is 33 off just 15. Sean Bennett has contributed 16 of those from 7 deliveries. And Nicholas Anderson moves to the 40s. He's on 43 off 22 deliveries. So it's all happening out here at St. George's College. Peterhouse bossing it at the moment.
Oh yes, Peterhouse are bossing it. And this time round, a better line, a better length. And that one is just dabbed along the ground for 1. I think it becomes even more painful when you've just gone for a 6 and you're hoping to just have a dot ball, and then he dabs it for a 1. I mean, it just kind of like is a message out to you that, either way will score. Well, Sean Bennett says that's enough. We've hit more than enough for the over. 14 off that over. Peterhouse is 79 for the loss of 1 after 6 overs. And I mean, just look at that bowling attack right now. It has been torn to shreds at this moment. Just wrong bowling options. I think maybe the captain needs to try and bring back the seamers. You've now got a new batsman in the likes of Sean Bennett. He has faced 8 deliveries. He hasn't faced your seamers as yet. I would still find that a little bit odd. Bring back the seamers who are struggling under Mudimu and Anderson, and maybe try see if you can rattle Sean Bennett maybe with a shorter delivery, short pitch delivery, and maybe try to see if he can pull and maybe sky it. But right now, you keep on bowling to Nicholas Anderson, he's going to hit the first 100.
And just as Remember mentioned, you've got to try and get the wicket. He is dropped. Nicholas Anderson playing one too many shots this time, straight down the throat of Long Off, but Long Off puts it down, grasses it. Nicholas Anderson moves on to 44. They ran 2. And this time round, they just take the single, well fielded at the Long Off boundary. But yeah, it's St. George's searching for answers here. So far, every question has been answered by Peterhouse. St. George's are just searching for an answer of their own.
Chief there does get an edge, but it just goes into that vacant area once again. Round about just the gully region there in between this short third man, because you can't say he's in a slip position. It's more of a short third man, and he's really short, I must say. That one blocked out. And right now still going in double figures at the run rate. And Chief Choto just trying to rack up a couple of dot balls here, trying to get the overs moving a little bit faster. That one has been lofted over, and he makes it. So they'll only settle for 1, so good fielding Down at the boundary there by Mohammed Afroz. And that brings us to the end of the over. It is Peterhouse, 83 for the loss of 1 after 7 overs. Nicholas Anderson on 46 of 25 deliveries. I mean, he's absolutely roller coastering right now. And maybe other batsmen like Aaron Finch, Dave Warner, Virat Kohli, Kane Williamson, and maybe others who are more aggressive, like the modern day Harry Brooks, would be quite happy with what he's doing right now.
Oh, absolutely. They would be very impressed with how Nicholas Anderson has gone about his business. He's been very effective. It's worked for them. He is the main reason why they have got off to this brilliant start of 83 for 1 off 7 overs. Calvador into the innings. It's full and it's played straight to point. But Calvador with an interesting bowling action here. Peterhouse almost looks like the arm is bent at release, but we're commentators, we're not match officials, are we?
Well, I don't think we're match officials. And neither are we the ones in Australia or Pakistan who are usually called in to assess bowling actions. But Calvador, at the present moment, doing a better job than all of his other counterparts. For now. Oh, that one catching Nicholas Anderson, unsure there, just caught in two minds whether to go forward or to just remain in his crease. Luckily for him, it didn't edge that. That one seemed to have struck him in front of the stumps, but it looked like it was just angling down leg side. And Nicholas Anderson needs to be careful not to allow the blood rush of wanting to get to the 50 with the boundary. Well, I mean, if you get a horrible delivery like that, you can send it for 6 and pick up your 50. So this is the second 50 of the St. George's T20 Smashing Cricket Tournament, and it comes off just 28 balls from Nicholas Anderson.
Well played, Nicholas. You've put your team in a very, very good position. He came out from the very first over. He was attacking. It wasn't looking pretty at all the time, but he's played some magnificent shots, and none better than this one to bring up his 50. It was in the slot, and he cleared long off and long on with ease, and that goes crashing into the side screen there.
Oh, yes, what more can you expect if balls are just simply being tossed up to you? It gives him time to actually line it up, and he lined that one up and sent it. Well, it looks like he was aiming for some of the parents there, but I'm sure they will also be happy, especially if they're Peterhouse. Chief Choto now coming in for his 4th over. He has been a little bit more economical, just going for 21 runs so far. It looks like there might just be an edge. And yes, Sean Bennett is gone. He tickled that one through to the wicketkeeper. Just a little bit unsure as well in terms of playing that shot. Maybe he wanted to drive it, maybe he wanted to block it, but at the end, he tickled it.
And he started walking immediately, and we saw that with Simbarashe Mudimu as well. He nicked it, he walked, didn't wait for the umpire's decision. Good discipline from the Peterhouse boys. There you have it. Didn't quite get his foot close enough to the pitch of the ball, and in the end, took the edge of the bat, and another good take from the wicketkeeper. 90 for 2 after 8.1.
Well, it looks like at least one of the others who was flaying the bowling attack has also been taken out of it. But another one who has got the potential to literally cut through the bowling attack once again is also walking to the crease. This is Campbell McMillan, and he's striding onto a batting paradise at the present moment. Well, at least what Peterhouse have made it look like right now. It is 90 for 2, a comfortable position to be in. And they are still supposed to make their way surely to a 150 plus, 160 plus mark. Campbell McMillan. And he just nudges that one down the ground to just get off the mark, have a feel of the ball here, TC. What can you expect from Campbell?
Fireworks. I think you can expect fireworks. Definitely, he is a solid player. He knows when to defend. He knows when to attack. His stats came up as he walked out. He's averaging 43 in T20 cricket. His strike rate is up there in the 150s. So he is a dangerous player. Flicked off the legs to deep square leg. So he's a dangerous player. And he comes in with the game very nicely poised for him. 91 for 2. He's got a lot of overs to get his eye in and then attack and maybe get close to that 180, 190 mark that we've been talking about.
So aren't we just happy that Hellenic and Peterhouse here have just brought out the definition, or rather have been able to look at the title of this tournament and deliver exactly that, smashing cricket. This is what we always assemble for every time round about August and September when we come here to St. George's. We come to look at smashing cricket, and that's what we've been entertained with right now, right here in this innings. And once again, that one is just driven along the ground, but well fielded. And so at the moment, Campbell McMillan just trying to make sure he feels his way into this match, feels his way around the pitch. That one clipped off his legs. And he picks up a single. And that's the end of the over and an end of a particularly good spell for our Chief Choto. 4 overs, 24, 1 for 24. I think he will be happy with this bowling performance. But as for the others, still a lot of work to do in order to clean up those figures.
Yeah, still a lot of work to do as we see the batting card there. Nicholas Anderson not out on 53. Mudimu had a little bit of a say. He scored 11 off 16. Sean Bennett, the last batsman to be dismissed. And out came Campbell McMillan, who is still early on in his batting innings, but they'll be looking to really convert. They're 7 runs short of the 100 mark, and this is the 10th over, so a really, really good foundation laid by the top 3 batsmen here. Calvador will continue. And that's hit to a deep sweeper there. And they will take on the second. So great running, great awareness, knowing that there's always 1 run for the throw.
And so tries to pull that one, does McMillan, but only just for a single. Maybe just didn't quite reach his bat at the time. But with Nicholas Anderson, 53 of 29. Surely he must be eyeing a century right now. I do not want to curse him with the commentator's curse, but he will know that he's got a lot of work to do, and he's dabbed that one into that gully region, and the gully fielder cannot make it. In actual fact, he almost goes into the corporate tents there.
Yeah, a valiant chase, but there was just too much on the ball. Fantastic shot from Nicholas Anderson. So he's not all sheer power and just wanting to hit the ball out the park. He's also got the deft touch, the placement. So he's really proving himself to be a good batsman. As the 100 comes up in the 10th over, Peterhouse doing really, really well. St. George is still searching just to stem the flow of runs and maybe pick up more wickets than they have already. There's a huge appeal from Calvador for leg before he's bowled him. Has he bowled him? What's happening here? Umpire's asking the batsman just to wait. They're going to meet and have a chat. Quite interesting. Calvador was very convinced that something had happened there. Wicketkeeper, though, doesn't seem to be as convinced, and he's the one who was closest to the action. Yep, he's gone. I think he's been bowled. So a good innings comes to an end. Moved too far across. All 3 stumps were visible. Came off his pad, maybe into the stumps. Have a look at that again. Well, either way, that is the third wicket that has fallen for Peterhouse. An interesting decision there. New batsman comes out. That looks like Ryan Moyo, not too sure. It's Daniel Govan. Daniel Govan also plays in the first team hockey side. Decent player. Also represented Zimbabwe at the under-19 stage. And a dot ball to finish that over. After 10 overs, Peterhouse 100 for 3. Right, the start of the 11th. Frees his arms, he gets all of it, and that is another beautiful shot from Campbell McMillan, starting to free his arms now. He sent that well over the rope, and that'll be 6 runs to start the over. Choto needs to come back strong. It's a bit short, it's hit over mid-wicket. That'll be another boundary, so Campbell McMillan is really getting a move on here. Back-to-back boundaries in the first 2 balls of this over. 10 runs off the first 2 balls. Hits it straight back to the bowler. That's a dot ball. Good comeback from George Ditima. Looking for the single. And they get it comfortably. They scamper through for 1. And joining me in the commentary box now is Moody Manyao. Moody, how are you doing? Peterhouse on 111 for 3. Nelson for 3. Good start from them. They need to close it off well here.
Good afternoon, TC. Defending champions looking very shiny here at the moment, eh? Like you had alluded to right now, the 1-1-1 for 3 after 10.4. My word, what a start. And does it seem like they'll slow down at any point in time? With 2 experienced men out at the crease, we saw what McMillan and Govan are capable of last year. So, yeah, St. George's have their work cut out in this final half of this inning. TC?
Yep, and I guess for St. George's, it's a matter of trying to make sure they restrict them to as low a total as possible. It's been a fast start. See there, it's 112 after 11 overs. Bowlers have taken some tap, but you've got to close out the innings well. Similarly with Peterhouse, they've got to close out this innings well. 9 overs to go. They'll be looking to get 80 to 90 more runs here. But for St. George's, it's all about wickets. They need to try and get some wickets and try and keep them away from hitting boundaries, that's for sure. and bowl in the right areas. Calvador will continue bowling from that end. Lots of flight on that one, but it's steered quite nicely to the sweeper, and they'll take the single to start off the over. It's another beautiful afternoon here in Harare, isn't it, Moody? Lovely conditions for cricket, a slight breeze across the ground, but all in all, great atmosphere here.
Yeah, like you've alluded to, I mean, brilliant conditions, but you know, just on the back end of that winter, it's out of the way. You've got cricket action now. Can't be doing anything better. As you see Calvador again, you see, I feel like, you know, just looking at his figures before he started, that was what, 14 runs from his 2 previous overs. That is very economical, and that's exactly what St. George's will need at the moment, you know, to try stem that run flow, because, geez, like 1-1 for 3 after 11.3, TC is, that's massive, eh? It allows them to, you know, free up their arms. But yeah, this young man, Calvador, has done an exceptional job. Again, that's a dot ball, so only conceding 2 off his first, 4 balls. He'll be looking to close it out very well. Very good.
They won't mind the singles and the twos at all. They come back for a second. Good running, but a fantastic throw from deep there. So they won't mind the singles and the twos. It's the boundaries that have hurt them. And the current run rate has dropped to below 10. First time we've seen it in this innings drop to below 10. So credit must be given to Calvador. He's bowled a fantastic over so far. And like you said, he needs to close it out well.
I mean, the man for the job at the moment, hey, TC. Just like that. Has he gotten through? Mr. Umpire says not so much. And unfortunately, that ends the over. You see, that's a nasty thing with T20 cricket. His bowlers, what? Well, he's on his third. He's got 1 to go. Peterhouse now 116 for the loss of 3 wickets. Going quite well at the moment. Full of wickets at 45, 90, and 100. So TC, maybe St. George's are stitching up something to, you know, potentially leave themselves in a really good position come the end of the 20th.
Yep, they had to swing it their way because those first 10 overs, Moody, were very, very one-sided. It was Peterhouse attacking, but those 3 wickets came at the right time for St. George's, and Peterhouse now in almost a rebuilding phase. Even though the run rate is 9.6, they are rebuilding. George Detima. And that is beautiful placing by Campbell McMillan on the back foot, punches it, and that is a beautiful stroke for 4. So those are the boundaries they need to stop from flowing. It wasn't a bad ball, but it was just the class of Campbell McMillan coming out there.
Yeah, absolutely, TC. As we see the replay, well, we're fortunate enough to do so, you know, getting yourself right on top of the ball, rather, you know, rock back a little bit, and poof, just a brilliant punch. McMillan is a very experienced part of last year's side as well. Trying to dart that one a little bit of a quicker one. Definitely an arm ball from Detima there. To try mix things up, you know, you don't want to become too predictable, especially in T20 cricket where batsmen are taking you on. Really good variations here from Detima. TC, you know, mixing it up after that first boundary. He's come back quite well with the next 2, eh?
He has indeed. It was a good start from Campbell McMillan, the first ball, but the next 2 balls going for a dot and a single. He's persisting with that line, and it's working for him. That is another dot ball. So George Detima doing very well for his side's cause here. The more dots, the more singles and twos they can spring up, the better it is. Again, that line, very hard to put that away. You'll almost be taking a risk if you decide to take that on, because you'll need to clear the boundary. But it's a very good line from George Detima. And again, persisting with that line. Fantastic over. Ends the 13th over. Peterhouse 1-2-1 for 3.
So again, now it'll be that man again. Calvador to close up proceedings for him. He's only conceded 18 from his 3 overs. Quite unfortunate that St. George's will lose him at the end of this over. Bit too full, and Macmillan just drives that down the ground. But tell you what, there is a man there looking for a second. Calvador has been really economical. I'm really, really liking the look of him at the moment. It's only Thursday, TC. Still, 3 more days to go. And for me, it seems the spin is the way to go. I don't know how they did earlier on in their inning, TC.
That he could have left. It's in the air. Long on is under it, and he's dropped it. A golden opportunity to continue to put pressure on Peterhouse. He's furious with himself, Govan. He took that from far outside off stump.
And that is nicely cut through the covers. Will they be coming back for 2? Absolutely. Peterhouse looking to, get themselves a bit more loot at the moment. It's really slowed down a little bit, but, like you pointed out earlier, TC Govan would have been fierce with himself. He's looked very, very disciplined, but, just felt he flashed down a little too early. And that had been a strong point, as we see that beautifully driven down the ground by Macmillan. That's one thing I was pointing out earlier, that these St. George's spinners are mixing up, their lines, and geez, like a bit too easy in the field. Ends Peterhouse another run there. But I was saying, these St. George's spinners, that, they're mixing it up, be it lines and the length, and also, the speed on the ball as well. So it's never predictable, and it seems to have worked quite well for them at the moment. Macmillan now 25 off 18. Peterhouse 1-2-5 for 3 after 13.4. And that'll just be a single, it should. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps proceedings up for Mr. Calvador. From his 4 overs, 1 for 25. So that those are rather 1 to go, I beg your pardon. But he's bowled very well, very good figures here. Finishes it up nicely at the end there. Just worked off the pads, but he's done very well for his side at the moment, TC. So the end of the 13th, Peterhouse find themselves 127 for the loss of 3 wickets.
Yep, they've done well to stem the runs. Have St. George's, they've really come back strong in this one. I think Campbell McMillan, they'll want to see him bat through to the 20th over. As long as he's out there, I think Peterhouse will fancy they can get up to that 160, 170 mark, even maybe more. So his wicket is of a high price tag here. Can St. George's get it? Quicker one. Tries to cut it, but too quick on him, and it rushes Daniel Govan. Another great ball in that corridor of uncertainty, but he gets forward. To answer your question, Moody, from earlier, the pace bowlers came on, it was free-flowing. It's cut, they're looking for 1, scrambling for 2, they're not going to take it. Great fielding. The ball was coming onto the bat very nicely with the paces, and they were going at 16 to the over at one time. So they had to slow it down, and the spinners have done a good job.
And again, mixing it up, that arm ball coming out, but tell you what, dealt with very, very well by Campbell McMillan as he earns Peterhouse another boundary. To go back to what you're saying, TC, I guess a spin is the way to go in this one. You know, that pitch looks very good for spin, but, you know, I can't really tell because I haven't had a look yet, because these Peterhouse, I beg your pardon, these St. George's guys are really mixing it all up. So had done well there as this partnership continues to grow for Peterhouse. They carry on at the rate they're going at. They carry on the way they are going at the moment. It'll be 181 at the end of the inning. Macmillan flashing at that one. He shouldn't let that, frustration get to his head as that over is wrapped up. So with just 4 overs remaining, TC. 5, I beg your pardon. Peterhouse 133 for the loss of 3. They really have slowed down, hey, after that start that they got off to. I mean, you had Anderson, 57, off not so many. And then now Macmillan seems to be the man getting his iron nice and slowly. But tell you what, you don't want to, leave him out there for too long, eh? Because he will cause problems.
Oh, absolutely. And it's been quite nice to see some national team players here. Ryan Bill was here watching his former school. If you can hear us, Ryan, we saw you walking down in front here. Nice to see you coming out to watch the future of Zimbabwe cricketers, and also nice to see some elite umpires here in Zimbabwe cricket. Mr. Owen Chirombe is managing the umpires. I've seen Forster Mutizwa here as well. These guys umpire at an international level, so nice to see those guys coming and giving back to schoolboy cricket.
Yeah, it really is, there's nothing better. I can't think of anything better than, getting out there and displaying your talent when your heroes are out there watching you as well. Starting a bit wide there is Singh. Peterhouse earning lots of loot with those buys.
That's a full toss. And not good placing. He would have wanted to place it further away from the long off-fielder. So that just gets 1 run and puts Campbell McMillan on strike. This time the placing is much better. The fielder has a lot more work to do, but he does it well and restricts it to just 1 run. So good fielding out on the boundary there.
Yeah, hitting that same area, same slot at the moment is Singh. Been offering lots of flight, and has that one been put through the gap. Very valiant effort out in the field by St. George's, certainly saving a 4. Singh has got to be a bit more, cautious of the length he's bowling, because that's been offered to the batsman to honestly do whatever you want. So he's lucky to get away with it. With 2 balls remaining in his over, he'll be looking to close it out quite well. Started all right. Tell you what, he's definitely listening. Fix that line. Good game, Mr. Singh.
Yep, it's been a good over. No boundaries conceded. But 7 runs off it so far with 1 to go. Again, some work to do for the fielders out on the boundary, and they cut it off to keep it to just the single to end the over. So after 16 overs, Peterhouse 140 for 3.
So TC, if you're those 2 men in blue in the middle, what's the conversation you're having, eh?
I think one of them needs to attack. One of them needs to take that role of attacking, whilst the other one just rotates the strike, puts him on strike. I think definitely with 4 overs to go, one of them, and the in batsman is Campbell McMillan, I wouldn't be surprised to see him starting to attack now.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from my co-commentator here, Mr. TC. Wonder if that's how Peterhouse will deal with it. You know, just 4 overs remain. And that's nicely cut. To bring Govan on strike, and it does Nitima to close his set of 4 up, offering just way too much. Unfortunately, not being able to see that one, he's probably he's looking into the sun, so completely misjudging that, and that's really unfortunate. Just a stroke of luck Peterhouse would need at the moment. You know, this is when, usually when a batsman gets dropped, presses on.
Absolutely, and the ball has gone towards that fielder again. So from dropping a catch, now you need to stop 4 runs, and he's done it very well this time round.
Yeah, that's never nice, I tell you, TC. After a misfield or something, and the next ball comes right at you, you're always under pressure, so it's good to get it over and done with, and sure did, eh?
Short and wide, and he's missed out there, has Daniil Govan. Talking about those fielding errors, Moody, is, you drop a catch, you misfield, and then you're put in a different position, and the ball follows you there. Again, misses out from a scoring opportunity, but it often happens, doesn't it? If for a captain, you just move someone and the ball follows them there, and you make another error. Cricket's just one of those games.
That's why you'd never move a fielder after a... That one's in the air. You see Govan trying to free himself up a little bit now. I think he's just going at it. He's got definitely the right intent. However, I think he's just going at it a little too early, and that's when he's mistiming it and not earning as much as he should, as we see the end of that over, which brings Peterhouse to 146 after 4-3 rather, after 17. Kynman and Macmillan on 35, alongside Daniil Govan, 16 off of his 24 face deliveries. St. George's will have to make some changes now, TC, because some of those spinners have used up all of their credit in terms of overs bowled. The team wraps his set up for 27. And now they're going to bring on some quicks to close it up. What do you think about that move?
Well, I don't think they were left with much option. Their spinners did a good job in the middle. And now it'll be the quick bowlers to try and close out. It's an important 3 overs in the context of this game for both sides, really. If St. George's can close these 3 overs out nicely, maybe restrict them to 160, 170, it'll be a good outcome. It's a shout for LBW. They've taken the quick single. Going down leg, umpire's not interested in that. So a decent start from Takudzwa. The ball was coming onto the bat earlier, and they bowled the wrong lines. He conceded 24 from his first over, so it was tough going, but he'll be keen to do better in his second spell, and he started reasonably well.
Yeah, just the start you'd want if you're Takudzwa. Pretty much 2 sort of wicket taking opportunities he's just found there. So, yep, I guess it is half a leather for Peterhouse. However, St. George's will be looking to restrict that, and tell you what, that's exactly what a bowler wants. You're putting in all of the work, and tell you what, when your fielders do the same, it just gets you going, and it gives you that little gust of more energy that one needs. But I was saying earlier, at that halfway stage, Peterhouse were projected to score just over 200, and now it's 168. So tell you what, these St. George's spinners, lots of credit still goes out to them.
An attempt at the Yorker there. It's a low full toss, but not much damage done. It's just a single down to long on. Yeah, you're right, Moody. The spinners have done a good job. They really brought their side back into this one. After that start that we keep talking about, it was a frenetic start from Peterhouse. But they've done well to claw this back end. And the pressure is slightly telling from Peterhouse. That one, the keeper is chasing. They're going to come back for 2. So good running, but also good work from the wicket keeper. But Takudzo M has really come back strong. As we mentioned, 24 of his first over. And this one, he's gone for 4 runs off the first 4 balls of his over. So fantastic. But the partnership, 50 partnership is up for Daniel Govan and Campbell McMillan.
Oh, mixing it up very well there is Takudzo. What a phenomenal over as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, some good awareness from this Peterhouse pair who've just got into their 50, combined 50, you know, to still be, you know, looking for all of those singles. And that brings an end to the 17th over. Peterhouse find themselves 150 for the loss of 3 wickets. Karen Menon, Macmillan and Govan. Macmillan finds himself 37 runs to the good, whilst his mate Govan has 17.
There are obviously 2 other fields that are in action at the moment. 3 fields. It's the one we're showing now between Peterhouse and St. George's. And there are 2 other fields, and we'll be giving you results for those and how it's going. But that's short, kept low. So that one not bouncing and coming onto the bat as we saw. And it's hit Daniel in the unmentionables, but he's up and he's ready to go.
Osmakers seems to be good to go again. Very exciting bowler, this Mohamed Afraz. Definitely getting some shape in there, and Macmillan was looking for the hills, honestly. He sent that one. Yeah, back to Marundera, as TC's just said. Doing it tough, it seems, at the moment. But, I mean, that's the right intent, but they've got to be patient, and they've got to back their technique, because at the moment it seems both him and Govan are either going at it too early or, like on that last delivery, rather, his head went. Tell you what, he's picked that up off of his pads. Campbell Macmillan, they'll be looking for 2. Very risky. Govan sets off a little too slow, but tell you what, some phenomenal running from this Peterhouse pair as Macmillan gets himself back home and safe. So that's exactly what Peterhouse will need to do, you know, keep pressure on the field.
Yeah, brilliant running there. 2 runs, 2 valuable runs, taking the score to 153. Also takes Campbell McMillan to 40. And he keeps strike. Just the 2 runs so far in this over. 3 balls to go. Looking for the Yorker yet again. They should get a comfortable 2 runs here with a better throw this time. A little bit more pressure on the batsman, but they get through comfortably. So these 2s are very important. And it's a no ball, so that'll be a free hit. That'll be frustrating for St. George's. Overstepping. So that'll be a free hit. I'll get to my question after this free hit, Moody. Campbell moves outside off, trying to loft that over the deep third man fielder, but he comes through for 2 runs yet again. So 3 balls, 7 runs through singles and 2s. Rotating strike is as important as scoring boundaries, is my opinion. Do you agree, Moody?
Yeah, and absolutely. It keeps your partner on the other end, you know, in the game as well, keeps him woke as well, because, you know, you don't want to rust or, you know, pick up some cobwebs whilst you're hanging out on the other end. So very good work by this Peterhouse pair. Tell you what, like a true man in the 40s, Macmillan survives that, skying that one, unfortunately not getting enough on it. But tell you what, he lives to fight another day. Looks to be struggling a little bit after that knock he picked up earlier, Macmillan, but edging ever closer to that 46 runs at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a good innings from him. And Daniel Govan also needs to be mentioned. He's kept the other side going with his 17 off 27. Defended off the back foot for a single. We're hearing news that on one of the other fields, Falcon are playing the SA Select team, and Falcon College have bowled them out for 59. So some great bowling there from the boys from Esigodini. So they'll be needing 60 runs to win on that field. But at the end of the 19th over, Peterhouse 161 for 3. St. George's have done very, very well, Moody, to have Peterhouse in the position they are in right now. After the start they had, after 10 overs, they were well over 100 runs. And it will be Takudzwa to bowl the final over of this innings. Takudzwa to Campbell Macmillan. He starts with a slower ball, and they're going to be pushing for 2 here. And they comfortably get it. Good fielding, but doesn't stop the 2. So 2 off the first ball of the 20th over.
Yeah, just exactly the sort of pressure Peterhouse will be looking to build in this final over. You know, you're going to want to get as much as you can in this final one. Macmillan frees himself up, and ladies and gentlemen, what a way to get to your half century. Please give it up for Campbell Macmillan, who gets to his 50 off just 38 balls. Phenomenal inning, TC. He's been the man we talked about. I'll tell you what, he's gotten the job done at the end here for Peterhouse, hasn't he?
He has indeed, and what a way to bring up your 50, Moody, with a 6 over the mid-wicket, deep mid-wicket fielder. Cleared the boundary, and he's put his team in a good position with 4 balls to come. He goes for it again, but the slower change in pace is working for Takudzwa. Deceives Campbell Macmillan, and he can't get that one away. So 3 balls to go, 169 for 3. Projected score is sitting at 173. So it's again looking for that leg side boundary, and he does it very well. Opens up some space for him. Just needed to get some bat on it. He got enough to send that to the fine leg boundary for 4. Good shot, and now that brings them into the 170s.
Yeah, he's going to be one to watch this weekend, TZ. Very innovative, clearly not afraid or shy to, get creative and, entertain us a little bit. And he's done just that, has Mr. Campbell Macmillan, as Peterhouse now with just 3 balls to go. And they'll be happy with this, They know exactly what sort of bowling performance that they're going to have to produce here. And still coming across. Macmillan finding the boundary again. What a performance we're seeing here.
Yeah, almost a replay of the previous delivery. He does the same thing. Gets outside off stump, and he needed to get some bat on it. He does so, and it's a fantastic boundary. Back-to-back boundaries for Peterhouse and for Campbell Macmillan. Final ball. He tries to send this to the long off boundary, but it's going to be just the 2 runs to close out the innings. Peterhouse with the great score of 179 in their 20, with a great start at the beginning, but they managed to claw it back quite nicely from overs 10 to 20, and Peterhouse, with what was looking to be a 200-plus score, they've managed to restrict them to 173. So don't go too far away. Join us for the chase. St. George's will need 180 from their 20.
Right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Smash It Cricket 2023. We're out here at St. George's. So St. George's taking on Peterhouse, the host taking on the defending champions, Peterhouse, in their 20 overs. Got to 179 for the loss of 3 wickets, leaving St. George's 180 runs to win. Off to a very brilliant start were Peterhouse early on in the first 10 overs of that inning. And then somewhat slowing it down with their spinners in the middle stages of that inning to bring it back. So tell you what, this would be the dream start for either of these teams. Obviously, first game of the tournament. And then, just a quick update from around the campus. Falcon 24 for the loss of no wickets after 3, chasing down that 56 against that SA Select side. TC, unfortunately, not looking too great for that SA Select side.
Yeah, and I think Falcon will take that win, gets their tournament off to a good start. It was definitely a good bowling and fielding display to restrict them to such a low total, and not much work for their batsmen to do, but cricket can be a funny game. But I think Falcon will cross the line there with not much damage done. We're almost underway here. It is St. George's College in pursuit of 180 runs in their 20 overs. So this will be an interesting chase for sure.
Yeah, it sure will. Some exciting names across both sides as we are almost ready to get underway in our second inning. So TC, how would you go if you were, either of these sides, St. George's? Do you start slow or do you try get a start as well as Peterhouse did? As we now going to be underway, you can answer that just in a second. And off the mark to start off with for St. George's, leaving them 179 from 19.5 TC. To answer that question again, would you like to give it a crack?
Well, I think it all depends on how they're bowling. The Peterhouse innings, the first 3 overs, it wasn't the greatest of bowling. Peterhouse kind of took it straight away and were attacking. But it depends on the bowling. And that's a wide, so missing his mark on that occasion. So they'll move to 2 runs of the first 2 balls of their chase. So it depends on the bowling, Moody, but I think if they decide, it was very clear, the Peterhouse innings, that Nicholas Anderson was given the mandate to go and attack. It'll be interesting to see if St. George's do the same.
And that one's scarred into the air, but I tell you what, falling just short of, is that Bennett? Yes, thumbs up. So lives to fight another day. He'll definitely want to get a better connection onto that, as Akanaka Sachikonye is the man with the willow. Leather, I beg your pardon. An attempted cut shot, but finding that man in cover there who looks after it quite well. So it's Mukwaji and Mafua in for St. George's. So lots of experience on this Peterhouse side. We did see Sachikonya last year as well.
Melvin, let's go through here. Let's get a beer first.
Very fortunate to get away with that. Quickly turn us back to find Mr. Umpire. So the required rate for St. George's will also be around about 9. So, in a T20 game, when the freebies do come, which hopefully as a batsman will be a lot more often than not, it leaves you a lot less work to do rather. An appeal in the back there from Mudimu. However, sliding down at T. And that is called leg buys.
And so, of course, just coming through and joining Moody here in the commentary box. Man who's just come from Durban. And, of course, enjoying all of the wonderful weather. Oh, that one had a nice, good tail swing to it. And quite lucky not to get an edge off that. And so for St. George's at the moment, just doing enough to make sure that they do remain in the contest. But the required run rate is pushing up ever so slightly at each and every dot ball. So it is overdone. And it is a 5 without loss after the first over. So I think, Moody, this is a time to also introspect. How do you expect St. George's to go about this innings? Because I don't think maybe they will have as much firepower within their batting lineup like Peterhouse actually have, especially that can give you some rear guard action like what Campbell McMillan offered.
Yeah, no, definitely. I totally agree with that sentiment. However, you know what? They've got to back themselves and they've got to be patient. They've been training for this. It's their home one. So as much as you want to back yourself, you've got to give that sort of a script to certain guys in your team who are able to carry out that mandate. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see. As a new man into ball now is Simbarashe Mudimu, phenomenal batsman as well. It's quite weird to see him not in that number 2 shirt. And that will be on the rugby field, and he's off to a good start. He did job last year as well. So lots and lots of experience in the Peterhouse side. Nice and full, and tell you what, just piling that pressure on. Just the start you want as a spinner, But unfortunately, well, not so much maybe. You wouldn't mind those ones here and there. Different batsmen on strike now.
Well, with the run rate of 9, clearly, as you say, Moody, you wouldn't be too mindful of those 1s and 2s. And that one just clipped around the wicket keeper. Might just run away. It looks like the outfield is sluggish there, and Mandi Mutsira will send that one back. And so they're able to scrounge for a very rare 2 runs early on within the innings here. But Simbarashe Mdimu had a fantastic bowling partnership with Tendekai Mataranyika, the 2 spin twins for last year. But of course, Tendekai has moved on with life beyond the schoolboy age, has done quite a bit at club level. But Simbarashe Mdimu obviously will be looking to make a mark once again. And just as I'm saying it, he makes a significant mark and bowls Tafuma Mkwaji. And St. George's have lost their first wicket without too many runs on the board. Now, generally, Moody, clearly these boys are struggling to play spin. If you play it off the back foot, in particular for a left-arm spinner who's bowling round the wicket coming into you, the likelihood is that you're going to open up your off as well as middle stump. And if you miss, he hits.
Yeah, absolutely. And he bowls it with a very, very good, with some gas behind it as well. So for a spinner, you know, that's always going to make the job a lot more difficult as a batsman. But yeah, again, they've got to be patient. You know, just play it through its line, making sure you're getting to that bounce. And yeah, what a start for Peterhouse. Within the first 2 overs, they're already, 1 wicket to the good for them. So new man in will be Singh for St. George's with just 1 delivery remaining. And just the start Mudimu would have wanted to this particular man. Taking it quite quickly there to end that over. So that is a good call, rather, from Mafua. And that brings an end to the second over. St. George's College finding themselves 10 runs for the loss of 1 wicket in their pursuit of now 170. It was 180 to begin with.
Well, 180 is going to start looking like 300 as the run rate continues to climb, Moody, but a lot of work still needs to be done. And I think at some point here, considering that we are still within the first power play, St. George's have to find a way here to try and get some runs. I think we can already see an aggressive field set up there. Simbarasha Mdimu within the slip cordon already shows that they're confident that if they bowl it outside that off stump, they should be able to get a nick in there. But I don't think a nick will come in that kind of fashion. That one, first up, is wide, and Akanaka will definitely have to correct his line and length there. I mean, if it was them setting the pace, then a 5.5 run rate would be good. But right now, the run rate is slowly climbing. It is at 9.39 at the moment. And with the more dot balls that they get, it is going to be a challenge. And so Akanaka, just 1 run so far. Off the bat, of course. And a heave into the leg side, but well fielded by Peterhouse. And Abiraj sends it just into the offside for another single. And so it looks like Moody, they are getting the gist of what needs to be done here. Rotate the strike, get the singles.
Yeah, honestly, that's just the way you want to start, you know, just to rotate that strike. You're going to get those 1s and 2s, and it just makes your job look a little less ominous. Freeing up those arms straight past the bowler, and what a cracking, can't call it a drive from Mafua. St. George's will be quite happy to see that. It's the first boundary coming off the bat for St. George's. Just not getting the correct line for that length. Don't know why we're not taking those runs. Just a bit shaky in that calling there in the middle for St. George's. And tell you what, Akanaka Sachikonyi rather will be quite happy to not have conceded anything off of that. Dipped just enough to avoid that no ball as well. So 1 to close it out for him. Or 2 rather, beg your pardon.
Well, decides not to go for that delivery. But with that boundary, Matifadza Mafua surely should be feeling a little bit more confident. But as the shadows continue to come onto Madden Field, you will also feel that that pitch, which has had quite a lot of sun on it, will also be uneven in bounds at some points. And I think signs of that, Moody, quite early on day 1 of this tournament.
Yeah, definitely. And that brings the end of the third over. So St. George's College finding themselves 19 runs for the loss of 1 wicket, chasing 180. So that leaves them requiring a further 161 runs off 103 balls. A change of bowler, I tell you what, offers some more pace. A bit short as well, and Mr. Singh, unfortunately, hadn't seen that today. It's come up a little too quickly from Skyd, and a very simple catch for Peterhouse to earn that second wicket for them. News across the fields as well. Falcon have levelled scores against the South Africa select side, and that is 59. So that is Ryan Moyle is the new man in rather for Peterhouse. So that change in that bowling attack certainly helping them out there. As we just look at another replay, came up a lot quicker than Singh had expected or had seen all day, honestly. Not too much of a difficult catch there for Cole Eckstein. New man in is Chipun's up.
A little bit interesting there in terms of how Abhiraj Singh dealt with that delivery. Sometimes we tend to want to snatch at that delivery, and maybe sometimes we just need to get out of the way of that delivery, and I think maybe the latter was the better option. But nonetheless, Peterhouse will be happy. 19 for 2. They have St. George's a little bit on the ropes here. Chief Chipunza walks in. Left-handed batsman. Maybe that will change matters here. So Ryan Moyo bowling with a lot of steam to Abhiraj Singh. And that one right at the feet. Oh, goodness me, confusion. Could be a run out and is. Oh, goodness me, Matifadza Mafua, non-communication there. And St. George's put themselves in all sorts of trouble. And a situation which was bad already has gone from bad to worse. Moody, that non-communication, I think you spoke about it a little bit early on, tried to run on that one, couldn't make a decision. By the time he went back, he was way out of his ground, and he will definitely be disappointed with that, and so will the coach. I think, Moody, you would be tearing your hair out.
Yeah, no, certainly, especially this early on in your inning. It's a bit silly to lose wickets in that sort of manner. So, yeah, St. George's will have to fix that real quick. You know, that communication has to be a thing that they've got to introduce into their into their batting, because you just simply cannot lose wickets in that sort of fashion, especially with that total Peterhouse put up on the board. They might have found themselves under a bit of pressure, but that's when you've got to calm yourself and come back right and really restart yourself as a batsman. So this change, bring in Moyo. Moyo has caused some real problems. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was his hat-trick ball as well. Unfortunately, not being able to pick that one up. So figures of wicket, and 0. Beautifully played. He properly read that length very, very well. Knew exactly where the fielders were, and he just guided that one. So just word from the other games, CBC chasing 83, playing against Churchill, and Falcon also taking an 8-wicket victory over the South African Academy. Ryan Moyo coming back with a beautiful delivery, just taking that one away from that left-hander.
Well, in general, St. George's have got a lot of work to do to try and really get themselves back into this match, because they've dug themselves into a very deep hole here, Mudi. So Chief Chipunza trying to be really confident and walking down the pitch to just show that he may just be able to play that shot, but that's 4 overs done, and St. George's College in a spot of bother, 23 for the loss of 3 wickets right now. And I think Peterhouse have got a huge stranglehold on the game, Moody. Communication in between the wickets when you're running is absolutely important.
Yeah, it's of paramount importance, and unfortunately for them, it's found them wanting. Quite interesting rather to see that, Peterhouse are bringing back Sachikonya, and tell you what, just like that, they've really got the stronghold in this one. Do this Peterhouse side, certainly looking like defending champions. I mean, with as many returners from last year's 11 back here, you would expect it from them. A clinical performance like this. Whereas St. George's, they just need to slow down at the moment, I feel. Get themselves back into this encounter, because it's slowly being taken away from them. Beautifully driven. Unfortunately, not finding the gap. But again, that's strike rotation.
Strike rotation will remain important at this particular point. Just keep on rotating strike, get the singles, get the twos, and I'm sure at some particular point you will find it much easier to execute everything that needs to be done. But as of now, it's now the new batsman, Mutsawashe Choto, who's now going to face Akanaka Sachikonye for the first time. An open batting stance. So just quickly taking a look at stance Moody here as he's coming. It looks like Steve Smith here has influenced quite a lot of our youngsters. An open batting stance, just waiting to maneuver in a different direction in any kind of way. And that's a wide delivery.
Afternoon, everyone. Tea is served in the pavilion for the VIPs and all the officials. Thank you.
Referring to Steve Smith, best cricketer in the world as far as I'm concerned. I know Sima Budimu out there agrees.
Oh, he goes for it, but he skies that one, and that's comfortably taken. And St. George's lose another wicket, down to 4. And this is not looking good for the home side. Akanaka Sachikonye picks up his first wicket. And just pulling out of that stroke there as he was trying to go over the top. Maybe if he had maintained a still head and gone through with the shot, might have just hit over the circle, but that didn't work out. And so he's gone. And St. George's are 25 for the loss of 4. Definitely a long way back. And so coming to the crease, Munesu Chitongo. He has got a lot of work to do to try and pull St. George's back into this. We did see Windhoek College recovering, Lomagandi doing the same. I'm sure they can take a leaf out of that book. And taken once again. Oh, and he dropped it. Oh my gosh, how did he drop that one, Moody?
Unfortunately, those elbows seem to have landed quite roughly. Had done all the hard work, but that landing, unfortunately for him, those elbows coming down and punching that out. Will this be the lifeline that St. George's needed? Unfortunately, Chikonye probably still having nightmares of that last delivery in his head. Wide's the next delivery. Bit fuller. Tell you what, the line isn't great either. But not being dealt with as well as it should have been by Choto. Hasn't been on for too long, so, you know, still getting his eye in, one can argue. Which brings the end of the fourth over, I beg your pardon. St. George's in lots of trouble at the moment. Currently at 28 for the loss of 4 wickets. You know, it hasn't gone great for them. High scorer at the moment, Mafua with 8. Mukwaji had 5 as well, but both of them departed. So after 5, 28 for 4. Peterhouse doing really well. Sachikonye with 1 over remaining. Currently with figures of 1 for 17. So St. George's require 152 from their 90 remaining deliveries.
So run rate is creeping up here. Moody, 10.13 required in order for St. George's to get there. And that is a very tall order. Maybe this is the time where you would want to summon the spirit of former St. George's boys like Dion Myers, Emmanuel Bauer, Gareth Chirao, who did a fantastic job for them when they won it here in 2018, but yeah, 2019 rather. And so maybe if they can summon that same spirit, maybe that might be the case. But at 28 for 4 after 5, it is going to be a tough one. There are so many overs here to try and build an innings once again and rotate. I would expect I would expect the next 5 overs here for rebuilding here. And just try to get back into the match and try to see if you can unsettle these Peterhouse bowlers. That one is pitched full, driven, but well stopped.
Just going back to what you're talking about how they've got to sort of rebuild. I'm a firm believer in self-belief. I mean, we've seen it with pretty much all the finals since 2017 where teams that aren't meant to win. Go on to do so as we see another wide. You know, it's getting a bit scratchy now for Peterhouse. You know, they've got to get back to that disciplined bowling performance they had produced up until now. 3 wides in this one, unfortunately, isn't really portraying what they've done so far.
And so it is going down leg side. Another tricky run here. Could he go? And the umpire says that's not out. So that could have been suicidal if St. George's had lost their 5th wicket. And I think that would have been curtains for this particular encounter. But I still do believe, as you said, you have to have the self-belief. You have to be able to rotate the strike. You have to put yourself back in a position where you can actually challenge for this match. Even at the very least, just get a decent total for run rate's sake.
Yeah, absolutely. That could also be a telling point in this one, that run rate. So regardless of that, they've still got to, you know, produce their best performance, the St. George's side. Not going exactly the way Mr. Moyo would have wanted it to go thus far, especially after the start he got off to. I'll tell you what, it happens to the best of us, honestly. He'll wrap this over up in no time. Driven, but very, very well looked after in the field. Peterhouse have been extremely shiny in terms of that fielding effort. So credit does go out to the coaches.
Oh, lovely. But once again, well fielded. So this Peterhouse field is looking quite imperious at the moment. Nobody seems to be able to pierce. And I think this is where we have seen some of those risky shots being taken, Moody. A little bit of concern from Mudimu concerning the ball. And that one straight on middle stump. Ryan Moyo picks up his 2nd wicket. Beautiful delivery right on the stumps. Played all around that one. And he's gone. St. George's dig themselves a deeper hole. 32 for the loss of 5 after 6 overs. And as you look at that replay, beautiful delivery right in the block hole. Tried to go for the big shot. Couldn't drive it down the ground. Wasn't there to be driven anyway. But St. George's now 32 for the loss of 5 after 6 overs.
Yep, Peterhouse in control. They're doing very well, and 32 for 5 after 6. St. George's needing to dig really, really deep here.
Well, I don't know how far they need to dig because this one is almost like digging a mine. At 32 for 5, there's just so much work that needs to be done. And literally, you'd need somebody to score 100 at this point. And that's the signal for the power play. The power play is over. Peterhouse can actually move their fielders out. But if I was Peterhouse, I wouldn't move them out. So Calvador Peterson comes on. Akanaka Sachikonye. Once again for no run. And those numbers don't give too much of a reading of somebody that could deliver St. George's from where they are.
No, they don't, Drewy, but there's always a start to something. This could be the turnaround in terms of those numbers, but needing over 10 runs and over. That's been signaled wide by the umpire. Tight line there. Seemed deemed to have gone over the line, but you can see the body language is actually a little bit, on the negative side, but they'll be looking to bounce back strong, definitely, tomorrow.
Well, definitely tomorrow they will look to do better. That one pitched up, driven down the ground. Might just go all the way, and it does. So lovely drive by Munesu Chitongo. And surely that's a little bit of ointment into the current wounds that have been placed on St. George's.
Oh, lovely shot. Straight down the ground. Beats both long on and long off. Great shot. Straight past the bowler. Very hard to stop those ones.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please could I have your attention? We have a Hilux motor vehicle registration number ACU 0550. It is parked in the wrong place by the bottom of the swimming pool area. Please can you remove your vehicle and park somewhere else? It is obstructing traffic. I repeat, ACU 0550. It's a Hilux.
That is the biggest six we have seen today. That was full, and he just helped himself, and he sent that over the trees onto the nearby field. What a shot.
That was a monster of a six from Munesu Chitongo. Look at that. Just a baseball swing straight over the corporate tents and almost into their shuffling dishes for lunch. I think that was a fantastic stroke. If he can give us maybe 10 or 15 of those, St. George's might just be back in it. And so we are still waiting for the ball to be retrieved because that one was a big hit. On the other hand, Churchill still struggling to defend their low total. They managed just 83. And hoping that they can hold on to that one. Loving the crowd that is in. And of course, they are enjoying the cricket. Goes for another shot. So, pretty productive over here, TC.
It has been a productive over for St. George's. They've managed to pick up 2 boundaries and some singles as well. But they would have loved to have started off in this manner. Picking up boundaries early on, rotating strike. But they've done that 5 wickets down the line. But needing 137 off 80 balls at 10 to the over, the pressure's on.
Well, definitely the pressure is on, but for Akanaka Sachikonye, he is done and dusted with this spell. Picked up 1 for 30. And so coming into the attack, it's like we have a change in bowling. Looks like we will be having some spin now coming into the attack. I mean, to an extent, it's cruelty because they're strangling St. George's here.
So it's Bennett into the attack with some right arm off spin. Yeah, and a decent start. Another one in the block hole. Defended back to the bowler for a dot ball. Short and wide this time. Doesn't get any bat on it. It's another dot ball. Look at the game there. Peterhouse put on 179 for 3 in their 20. St. George's College on 45 for 5. That's a wide. This time pushing it too far outside the off stump. He'll have to re-bowl that one. Much straighter. Gets the inside edge. And they scamper through for 2. Good fielding from the wicketkeeper. And they keep it to just the 2. Another attempted cut shot, but that wasn't there for the taking. Cramped him up a bit, and in the end, hits it back to the bowler. At the end of the 8th, it is 45 for 5. St. George's need 137 from 72 balls, 132 from 72 balls. And a change of bowling. Daniel Govan comes into the attack. Just making sure the field is set. That'll be a leg by. Good backing up from the batsman on the non-striker's end. They run through. At this stage of the game, Rui, they need to get bat to ball. They need to look for the boundaries. Byes and singles are not going to win them this one.
Well, I think at this moment, anything will do, whether leg buys or wides or buys or getting bat on ball will work. And Daniel Govan won't have much pressure. And that one is wide. But once again, maybe just trying to apply a little bit too much power onto that and losing shape in the shot. So a little bit of control from Calvin Peterson will help him strike the ball a little bit better here. But I think for St. George's, their undoing has just been an inability to try and control the innings from the start. Yes, we do know that 180 is quite a lot. but you can also get there by running between the wickets.
That's a quick single. If he had taken that quickly, the run out was on, but in the end, they scamper through for one. So a decent over from Daniil Govan so far. Started with the byes, then a dot, and then a single, and another single. So it's good, and that run rate will keep climbing. An attempted heave that gets at the underedge of the bat, and that's going to run away to the square leg boundary for a much needed 4 runs, remember.
Oh yes, much needed 4 runs there, and you'll take them any way they come. Under edge, over edge, uppercut, undercut, whichever way. As long as it goes to the boundary, that's what they need. And that's a hit high in the air, will be taken on the boundary. And unfortunately, the one man who seemed to have been lighting up the hope and that's another fantastic catch in the deep. Munesu Chitongo seemed to be getting on top of the Peterhouse bowlers, but that has been a fantastic catch to get rid of him. And that reduces St. George's to 55 for 6.
The shot was there for the taking. Unfortunately, he didn't middle it, and he hit it straight down the throat of the deep wicket fielder, who took a good catch well inside the boundary. Next in for St. George's will be Muhammad Afroz. He's coming in, and he'll be looking to try and get his team as close as possible to that total. Good over so far from Daniil Govan. Just that miscued shot that went to the square leg boundary for 4. Other than that, it's been a fairly good over. Picking up the wicket and continuing the squeeze. Just outside off stump, just trying to get the batsman to play his first ball to the offside boundary, but misses, and it's a dot ball with 1 ball to come. 6 from the over and a wicket. He plays that one back to the bowler. After 9 overs, St. George's 55 for 6.
And so just quickly taking a look at the wickets there, Ryan Moyo doing really well, picking up 3 wickets. Daniil Govan being added into the attack and picking up a wicket of his own. Run rate now up to 11.36. Needing 125 runs in 66 balls. That one is tossed up. Just for a single. Sean Bennett has also been nice and tidy with his bowling. That one has also been skied. A dropped catch. So Peterhouse won't be ruining too much on that one.
And just like that, another wicket falls dead straight from Sean Bennett. A wild swing at the ball, and it clatters into middle stump. The 7th wicket falls for St. George's, and Peterhouse continue their dominance this afternoon. Was not there for that kind of shot. So that's 59 for 7. The pressure continues to mount. Next out to the crease, it's Takudza Magaya. He's got a healthy strike rate of 150. So he can send it to the boundary. They're going to need 150 strike rate plus more. But Sean Bennett will be looking to close this over out. 2 balls to go. He's gone single, 2 single wicket, and 2 balls remaining as Takudza takes his guard. Tosses it up, inviting Magaya to go for the big shot, and almost a mix-up there for another run-out. So it's all happening out there. The end result is a dot ball and 1 ball to come in the over.
And so Sean Bennett just continuously tossing it up. Concedes a single at that point. And at the halfway mark, yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you've just tuned in or have just walked into the stadium, it is St. George's College 60 for 7 after 10 overs. They are chasing a very healthy target of 180. Peterhouse having set 179 for the loss of only 3 wickets. It was a fantastic expose on batting by Peterhouse. And as the defending champions are stamping their authority, Daniel Govan is coming in for his 2nd over. With 3 wickets left for Peterhouse to take, this will be a fantastic, healthy run rate for them, especially going out into the knockout phases of this tournament.
Let's go too fast, go on, boys.
Absolutely, it will do very, very well for them.
Let's go, Governor.
So Daniel Govan continues from his end and starts off with the dot ball. Tailing into the batsman. They're going to push for 2 runs here. They do take off. It's gone to the keeper's end. A good pickup. Fumbles the ball, so they comfortably do get over for 2 runs. Pressure on the fielder. Good running there from St. George's. Another heave straight down to long off for just a single. The intention is to clear the boundaries, but not managing to do so. They haven't scored boundaries frequently enough throughout this innings, and they've lost wickets at regular intervals, and they find themselves in this position. That one was whacked to the offside. Deep extra cover cleans up, and they scamper through for a single. Currently going at 6 to the over, needing over 10. Required is over 12. Another attempted heave, slog sweep there, results in a dot ball. So continues to bowl well does Daniil Govind. With every dot ball, that run rate will continue to climb. Slightly short, and that one is played to deep square leg, who does well to clean it up. And they are coming back for the second because of the misfield. Good awareness from the batsman to call his partner back for the second. That ends over number 11, 66 for 7.
So Sean Bennett. And just a quick single for St. George's, just chipping away at the score. And that one goes into the deep, decide against the second one. You would think here at this point, TC, that so Sean Bennett continues to toss it up. This time round is edged around the keeper, but doesn't have enough legs to get to the boundary. They come back just for 2. You would say at this point here, TC, that maybe it's just all about seeing it out at the present moment. Just seeing it out and not having to try and do anything too experimental.
I think so. I think it's just about getting as close. That's a full toss. It's played down to the long on fielder coming in. And it's grassed again. But it is for St. George's about getting close as possible to that total. It will go a long way in helping their run rate if things get a bit closer later in the tournament.
Oh yes, I would just urge the boys maybe to try and get to about 100, 110 maybe, lose by an odd 70, but still keep the fighting spirit going. Partnership has now got 12 of 13. Oh, another mix-up. Oh, poor throw. That could have been a run-out. And I think that will be something that they will need to address here, TC. The running between the wickets for St. George's has not been good. Quite a number of run-outs have been affected because of that. And that's the end of the over. 71 for the loss of 7 after 12 overs.
And I guess it comes with the pressure of the game, doesn't it? You're needing over 13 runs to the over. It does affect your stroke play, your calling, your communication. So it's all the pressure that Peterhouse have mounted on St. George's. And definitely it's go back to the drawing board, come back strong. A turnaround of games is very quick tomorrow morning. They're back, they're playing. So it's needing a quick fix to the errors made in today's games.
Let's go, go.
What kind of conversation do you think will be going on in the dressing room for St. George's, TC?
I think on the bowling side, they gave away too many freebies early on in the Peterhouse batting innings. And on the batting side of things, I think they didn't string any partnerships together, lost too many wickets at regular intervals, so it'll be occupying the crease a little bit longer. Even if you're not necessarily scoring runs, you want to be out at the wicket because you're there, you're seeing the ball, and you could, seize run-scoring opportunities. Let's hit down to long on for one single. A little fumble means they come back for the second, and that's good awareness from both these batsmen to look at the fumble and take the second one on.
In just being overcritical in a perfect performance by Peterhouse right now, wouldn't you feel that some of the small mishaps in the field could also come to bite them? Because misfields, a couple of dropped catches, those are some fine margins which you will not need to display in the following games.
Yeah, I think so, Rui. And misfield there from the bowler. They are taking on the second. It's a good throw to the keeper. Keeper gets it well. And the umpire has given him out. Square leg umpire says, you're short of your ground. The 8th wicket falls. Pushing hard for the second, but the batsman falls short, and he's unhappy with the decision, but he has to walk.
Oh, yes, he has to walk. I don't think he had also made his ground. Sometimes we may feel like we put in all the effort and we had just arrived. He says, I slid in the bat, but look, I think he was way short of his ground by the time the ball was within the hands of the wicketkeeper. And as we look at that throw as it comes in, ball comes in, and that one is very tight. Might have needed a replay, but nonetheless, that is the final decision. He's gone. And so St. George's fall to 74 for 8. And Mohammed Afros walks in. Oh, it's rather George Chiditima rather walks in, joins Mohammed Afros. Left-handed batter, George Ditima. Well, tries to go for a big booming heave over long off, but that doesn't quite come together. And with that, over up. And Daniel Govan has 3 overs done. Surely he'll be considered maybe coming into the death a little bit later on. But so for Peterhouse, we were talking about the issue of catches, the issue of misfields. And these small little things can tend to come and bite you a little bit later on in the tournament. In a clinical performance, you need to have a polished performance. And we're just being overcritical here because we're just trying to find a weak point for Peterhouse in what has been a perfect performance.
Yeah, I strongly believe that there is no such thing as a perfect performance. I think even in victory, there's stuff that they can work on, stuff they didn't do too particularly well. Their catching is one of those things. They dropped a couple of catches. The throwing in to effect runouts, throws weren't that accurate. A lot of work for the keeper or the bowler to do. So yeah, there's always stuff to work on. But obviously, some teams will have more things to work on than other teams.
And by that, you mean St. George's. And CBC at the moment are doing a perfect job. Need 19 runs of 10 overs against Churchill, chasing down a score of 87 rather. Had kind of taken away 4 runs because it wasn't that big of a total after all.
And those CBC boys, I'm sure, are part of, many of them are part of that hockey team. That's up in the air, falls short of deep mid-wicket, and they scamper through for a single. Going back to what I was saying, remember CBC winning the Super 12 boys hockey. I'm pretty sure it being a stick and ball game, a lot of the hockey players will be showcasing their talents on the cricket field.
That one is skied. Might just fall short. And it does. Well, clearly, I mean, hand-eye coordination. Clearly, they've got better than Churchill at the moment. And that one just pulled into a little bit of a mid-wicket region there. Goes for the pull. In between the fielders, just for one. And so looks like both Churchill and St. George's have got a lot to work on before tomorrow morning.
You'll almost say it's a boring phase of the game, isn't it? Not many boundaries being hit, just singles here and there, lofted shots here and there, falling short of fielders. But Peterhouse will be happy. Nonetheless, it's St. George's with more work to do. I mean, 16 to the over. I think you can call it a done deal, but getting as close as possible to that total is what St. George's will be aiming to do from now on.
Would you feel that Peterhouse might kick themselves and having maybe mopped St. George's up a little bit earlier?
Goes back to what we were talking about earlier. There's always stuff to work on. They would have wanted to clean up the tail a lot earlier than the 15th over that we're in now, and they still need to take 2. So always stuff to work on, and I guess credit should be given to the St. George's tail for sending it as deep as they are now.
Afros was hoping that the umpire would call that wide, but that was well within the line. And as you talk about that, I mean, these are some of the things as well that you will be looking at against stronger sides, better sides. When given the opportunity to do better. And that one is wide from Panache. Fantiso. And so something a little bit that may have disturbed things a little bit there. So Afros will still face. Decides to walk across his stumps, looking for that big shot. But it doesn't seem to be quite working at this particular point. And as the target is, as you said, to move a little bit closer and closer to this mark, if they can get into 100, I think they should be a little bit proud of themselves. Another swing and a miss. Maybe try and simplify things here. Most of the Peterhouse fielders have gone to the boundary. My idea would be not to hit towards them, but find huge gaps. In particular, in between point and the wicket keeper. And those singles would prove to be much more beneficial than swinging and missing. It's now 3 dot balls on the trot.
Yeah, it is good bowling from Panashev and Tiso. Muhammad Afroz, along with George Dutima, struggling to put him away. Just the one wide in the over to kind of spoil his figures. And another desperate attempt to put him away. Goes down to long on. He cleans up, sends it to the keeper. So with 1 ball to go in this over, it's 81 for 8. The partnership is 7 off 14. And again, in T20 cricket, you want that strike rate to be a lot higher than that. We saw that with the Peterhouse innings. They were going at one point at 16 to the over. That was a little bit outrageous. I mean, it was bound to drop, but George Dutima clears his front leg in an attempt to heave that over the long on boundary, but it's just kept to the 1. I was saying, Ruby, that Peterhouse got off to a flying start. It was helped also by the bowling of St. George's, but you want a quick start, you want to convert, but you want to do so cautiously, especially in those first 6 overs in the power play. And Peterhouse did a lot better than what they were expecting. I'm sure they'll own up to that it was a dream start for them.
Oh yes, and one thing that will be disconcerting, particularly for the St. George's batting lineup, only 3 batsmen have only 3 batsmen have gotten into double figures, and that is in the teens. That is not good. Now Simbarasham Dimu comes back into the attack, and he's a hard man to get away. I love the way he comes with his left arm and really extends his arm. So that gives him the ability to go above the batsman's eye line. And then that second delivery, you saw it was more of a round arm. So he's mixing it up, and that really helps him to pin back at the batters.
Clever bowling, but that one has been dispatched. It's a 6. It was a full toss. He tried to mix it up, maybe tried to bowl a little bit fuller, but gave that one too much flight. And George Dutima says, I'll grab that and I'll send it for 6. See the replay there, just maybe slipping out of his hands, and that comfortably sails over the boundary.
Commentators curse. This time round, able to back it up with a good delivery. And maybe just falling asleep in the field there and allowing a single to be taken. And that's the end of the over. So the only blemish there, a boundary coming off of what was almost a near perfect over. And St. George's are now 89 for 8 after 16 overs. One thing I can commend is that they are fighting to bat the full 20. And if they can get to the full 20, it does help, especially on those issues of run rate, and maybe help them get into the 100, the 3 figures there.
I absolutely agree with you. If you one way of fighting till the end is cricket is playing out all your overs, and they've done that reasonably well. 4 overs to go. Winning is out the picture, but let's see how close we've now. Advancing down the wicket is George Dutima. There is a fumble, but no opportunity for a second run, because they needed about over 130. Now they've taken it down to 91. And it also, it's easier to call that result out in assembly, isn't it?
Used to hate those times. And once again, just leaning back on that shot, losing his shape. Maybe just keep his head steady. Try not to go onto the back foot. And I'm sure he will be able to connect with at least one. Oh, gets an edge. That's gone all the way down to third man. At least there's cover, and they are able to scamper through for one. At least when those come, all you can do is breathe a huge sigh of relief that it didn't go into the hands of the keeper.
Yep, absolutely. Just got it wide enough past Campbell McMillan. Advances down the wicket yet again. This time, a fielder getting under it. And it's well taken. Peterhouse pick up their 9th wicket. Good effort.
So that is a good catch and good communication there between Simbarashe Mdimu. And I believe that must be Nicholas Anderson. But a good catch taken in the deep. And Peterhouse now looking to just make sure that the job is done and done very quickly. 91 for 9 are St. George's. 16.4 overs gone. And now Munyaradzi Maunze makes the long, treacherous walk onto that pitch, which has been a pit for many who have fallen to the fantastic bowling of Peterhouse. Despite a number of dropped catches, Peterhouse have been able to hold on to the important ones, and this is an example of one of them. One wicket to go. Oh, that was a good delivery first up. Panache Fantizo.
Oh, this game of cricket is so fascinating. St. George's wanted to get the score below 100, and I'm sure Peterhouse want to keep them below 100. The single taken. So Munyaradzi Maunze gets off strike and leaves and maintains strike, because that's the last ball of the over. So after 17 overs, 91 for 9.
The required run rate now an impossible 28.11. A very difficult pill to swallow. Pick of the bowlers for Peterhouse so far has been Ryan Moyo. 2 for 7 off of his 2 overs. Absolutely imperious. And Simbarashe Mdimu comes back looking to mop up the tail and call it early for Peterhouse. Well, trying to look for a difficult single there, but immediately sent back by Maunze. Another one blocked out by Maunze. Oh, really good fielding off his bowling there by Mdimu. I'm sure he's a happy camper right now. Tossing it up, knowing that tail-enders usually struggle with a ball that goes over. Goes for the double step. He's stumped, and that's the end of that. Peterhouse have mopped up the St. George's College. 93 all out. What a fantastic display And Peterhouse walk away with this one, 97 runs, or rather 87 runs to the good. What a fantastic and clinical performance here, TC.
Yeah, Peterhouse have made a very, very strong statement here. As defending champions, Campbell McMillan was the pick of their batsmen, scoring 65 for 52. This is after a fantastic start from Anderson, who also just fell 1 run short of his 50. But all in all, a fantastic team effort from Peterhouse. They'll be looking to continue this fine start that they've had tomorrow, and St. George's will be looking to do better with the bat, definitely, and also in the opening phases with the ball. But all in all, a fantastic day of cricket, and we'll catch you all tomorrow for some more exciting T20 smashing cricket.